This week on the Shameless Podcast.
Today we're going to be talking about promotions. So how are we going to be navigating that career GPS, plotting your path to the next big promotion? And why we're going to be talking about that is because I think a lot of people are misplaced and misguided around their career projections.
Promotion is a thing of opportunity and you take it when it comes. But if I then focus on the skills that I want to build to be ready, then I also think about the network and the people around.
I think it's really important. I agree with you, don't kind of fixate on the promotion, but there are some other practical things that you need to understand about getting a promotion. It is political. It is not that you are the best person in the room. And I do not care what organization you are in. There is a bit of political finesse in promoting, because think about the art of war.
So I've seen in organization places where you do see a glass ceiling or glass cliff, and then it now becomes about you and how do you navigate through that space? How do you take a more proactive, more positive approach to that?
And more importantly, you need to own your narrative. You need to position yourself for that role before it even opens to go, I know I want that one. So I'm going to now start acting like I'm that role. People talk about get dressed, dress for the role that you want to be. I say act for the role you want to be in. But then what I want to know from you, DK, is if things go wrong, how do you then navigate that roadmap to still kind of, get to that goal?
I think one major thing is to ensure that the people who are important don't have to read your mind. They are getting the information that they require in order to be able to make a judgment. Mm-hmm. And so that piece becomes about communication and visibility. Sometimes the environment is the thing that makes it incredibly difficult for you to be able to realize your full potential. And this could be a multitude of different reasons. The key is to ensure that you don't stand still in your development. And so even though it's difficult, even though it's painful, and even though you've been punched, the last thing that you want to do after you've been punched is stand there and just keep your face just waiting for the second punch, right? You want to keep moving. You want to keep any form of momentum so that you don't stop and then get stuck.
Sometimes we are afraid to do something. You fear shame. I don't want shame. We're trying to break that burden by sharing stories of courage, resilience, and we want to be able to celebrate your story.
Shameless.
Hello. Welcome today. My name is Dzikamai. I'm the host of the Shameless Podcast. Actually, I'd like to say that again because somebody once called me out for saying my name too fast. They were like, can you say your name properly? Because you're saying it way too fast. My name is Dzikamai Gangaidzo, and I am the host of the Shameless Podcast. I mean, I just had to make sure that it was actually two people that called me out, and I felt like this is the moment for me to say. And I'm joined today by none other than the producer of the Shameless Podcast itself. None other than, drumroll.
Hi, my name is Nono Bokete. And because it's my name, this is how I pronounce it. And therefore, it is the correct pronunciation. So no one can tell me how to say my name besides maybe my parents. Just had to, put that out there. So today we're going to be talking about promotions. So how are we going to be navigating that career GPS, plotting your path to the next big promotion? And why we're going to be talking about that is because I think a lot of people are misplaced and misguided around their career projections. Research from Harvard Business Review shows that 90% of people believe hard work alone leads to promotion, but in reality, networking and strategic visibility plays a bigger role. DK.
So, firstly, 90% I've got a problem with that because 90% of what, 90% of who, and at the same time, like, where? Because I actually feel like a lot of people don't know how to have the conversation, don't know how to, don't know when. And I think that is actually...
it's 100% and not 90%.
No, wait, what is the 90% for? 90% of people say
90% of people think that if you just work hard, you're going to get a promotion.
I don't think they think that. I think a lot of them think that they need to do more, but they have no idea what to do. So I'm saying it's less than 90. I think it's like 40%. And then, yeah. So I'm going to start by saying, I don't know about Harvard, What does the University of Lagos say? That's maybe where I'd like to start.
Don't know. I don't have connections there, but maybe in the
Shots
next
fired.
one.
No, but you know what? You know what is very interesting about that is that, which I agree, is that a lot of people think that this problem is going to be solved by someone else, right? And, or they externalize the problem. They will go, I'm not liked, therefore I can't. If I just work hard, then it will be recognized, or the credibility or the certification. Therefore I should. So, all of those things all tie into the same, I guess, solution, if I can call it that. And that is essentially taking the bull by the horn and then navigating that space for you to get to the end of the road. That's how I see it.
No, I agree.
What
I
is your
think that
view?
people probably don't know how to go about it. But I think maybe let's take a step back and think about if you're a person in an organization and you want to get to the next step, there are some career roadblocks that you might have to learn how to navigate. So, there's people who believe in invisible ceilings, glass ceilings, concrete ceilings. What's been your experience in that? Because you've been the block. Not want to say you're
Well,
old, but you ain't right no more.
so I think there's a large portion whereby glass ceilings exist or even glass cliffs. And essentially within that space, whether we like to believe it or not, sometimes in some spaces you will struggle to penetrate a certain threshold, a certain level. Not to say it's impossible, but you could struggle. But the thing that makes it possible is being more intentional. I think that's what we'll get into maybe later on. So I've seen an organization places where you do see a glass ceiling or glass cliff, and then it now becomes about you and how do you navigate through that space? How do you take a more proactive, more positive approach to that? And at times even slightly more typically would need to be selective. The other one is on lack of visibility. Sometimes the results will show themselves is probably the most misleading thing because you need to show your own results. And again, I guess we'll kind of touch into that.
Yeah.
And I guess what I'm currently talking about, the highlights of maybe things that we might talk about as we progress through this conversation. So, and then the other one is I've seen a lot of the time where you go, I've got the skills. I do not have the influence, or I've got the influence, but I don't have the skill. So how do you then marry? And I see this a lot when you look at technical versus leadership. How do you not get pigeonholed? How do you progress and combine the best of both? How do you leverage people around you to be able to maximize or complement your weaknesses? And so that's a roadblock. Question is, how do you pass it? Self-sabotage. Now that to me is the greatest thing. Fear of what you've never accomplished, fear of asking, fear of everything, feeling too comfortable, imposter syndrome, and your own mindset, positivity or lack thereof, of what you breed and what you say to yourself. And I think I've seen way too many times that cripples. That's a crippling thing. If I was then going to go to the last one, I would go with, it's funny. Sometimes I ask people, so where do you see yourself in 5 years? Blank look on their face. Okay, fine. Where do you see yourself in 2 years? Not so blank, but
No,
still quite blank.
no idea.
And then, okay, let's say end of this year, what are you? And still there's some level of ambiguity around what their response is. Then the question then comes back to me, like, if you don't know where you want to be, then I mean, how am I supposed to help you? How is this conversation? How are you serious about your own bills, your own journey, and I think again, that is a function of being proactive, a function of having the right tools. And it's not a criticism. I think it's a very difficult thing, but if the first step is to be conscious of the roadblocks, a lot of them sit within you, and then a lot of them, and some of them might be external, but then how do you navigate through? So would you say that is okay for us to talk around in terms of maybe 5 roadblocks that we might?
Yeah, I think so. Like in keeping on the theme of like career GPS,
Uh-huh.
I think about like setting up a framework, right? So your last point on people not really knowing where they want to go. So you're 10 years, where do you want to end up? You have no idea. Well, I think that's step one, right? Set your destination. You're on your GPS, you know, you want to go to Lagos, or you want to go to Nairobi, or you want to go to Haboroni. And yes, I said the G with the proper pronunciation. Um,
Not
then,
Gaborone.
then you need to know where you're going, and you need to define what that promotion means to you. The title, the salary, the impact, the leadership, whatever the case may be. Obviously, a transformation leader, we believe that leadership is not a title. We think it's a calling, and anyone can be a leader regardless of where they sit in an organization. But that doesn't change the fact that a lot of people look at promotion of, you know, having more pride at work and, you know, having people look up to you saying, oh, you know, you're a boss or whatever the case may be. And I think it's really important to look at role models who are doing what you want to do. So you'll look at someone like DK and go, oh man, you know, youngest chief mining engineer. How do I get to that? How do I get, did I say something wrong?
Nothing at all. At all. Nothing.
Okay. Sorry, I just felt that you kind of gave me some shady look. But like, you kind of look for role models, and they can be anywhere, right? They don't necessarily have to be in your organization. And they also don't even have to be in your industry. You can just look at somebody who's doing something that you are seeing, and you can kind of see, what have they done? What schools did they go to? What degrees did they study? What sort of things are they involved in? And then you can reverse engineer those skills and experiences and try and get that exposure needed. But I want to find out from you, once someone has set that destination, you put in the GPS, what sorts of things do you have to think about when you're assessing your own current location? Because now you know where you want to go, but you need to kind of understand where you're at.
It's actually very interesting. It's difficult. And I'll touch on the idea of externalizing issues and my own experience as well. I think it is always easier to blame somebody else and therefore externalize. I am here because of person X, right? I didn't get the chance to speak in front of person Y because they don't like me because I don't comb my hair, right? And that's that's me externalizing an issue, right? Whereas I think the first step is going, I didn't get this, and asking why. 5 whys, right? Opportunities missed, you evaluate yourself, reflect why didn't I get the chance? What could I have done differently to have been seen, to have been given that opportunity? Why am I here and stuck here? Because then is a reflection of maybe some gaps that I might be overlooking or I might be plastering over. So I think the first part is no excuses. So being able to get feedback, not only from people who will give you honest feedback. And for me, typically, I would call those types of people my first line of feedback. That is somebody who's probably close to me, somebody who knows how to deliver information to me, and somebody who I will not necessarily dismiss their feedback, right? And so actually the other day, somebody I know calls me up and was like, hey, I just did an interview. What is your honest feedback? Actually, no, they sent me something. I was like, oh, well done. Really like the interview. And it's like, you're lying. What's the honest feedback? And then I was like, you know what? That was a lie. There were components of that thing that were pretty crappy. The first part, you looked nervous. The second part, you didn't talk this about well. You didn't talk about that well. And I think being able to be vulnerable and to open up and ask for somebody who you will listen to is number one in that feedback component. The second thing is people who you interact with, they might not be that honest, but you interact with them a lot, and you might also not necessarily be comfortable with them, but you're stepping outside that comfort. And I think that's probably one of the most important things around this piece, is that it is going to be uncomfortable. Assessing where you are should not be a comfortable experience. It should be an experience where you feel a level of discomfort, and at times you even feel a bit of defensiveness, right? I don't know, man. You seem like you're just being a bit, and you start
Yeah.
defending. But no, it was the 5th of July. And of course I missed the deadline. It was the 4th, the previous night. I think if you're comfortable through the conversation, you're doing it wrong. So two
So like,
sides, self and others.
so when you're looking at that feedback, the self and others, is there any moment in there that you're thinking about the context in which you're in? Because, for example, if you're a fish who believes that success is climbing a tree, you'll be failing all the time, right? But if you're in the ocean, you're with your other school of fish, you're doing the things, you're flipping over and all that jazz. So where does that context of like the environment that you're in play into that whole where am I now to where I'm trying to get to?
So, and I think that's so important because you need to understand in the phase of life that you're in or in the window, what it is that you're trying to achieve and what it is you're trying to learn. Sometimes environments are not conducive for you to learn what you want, right? They're not good enough for you to be able to excel in the areas that you want. But that doesn't mean that you should stand still and keep bashing your head against the thing that you would like to explore, right? So, and the classic example is like, I recently tried to complete PMP training, right? And no, I said tried to. So now well done. So, but the thing the thing about that is that I realized that where I am right now in terms of work that I'm doing really aligns well with this PMP target. And I would be doing myself a disservice if I said I'm going to go and do a finance course, right? Because I will do the course, but the application and me being able to grow at the rate that I want to and apply the things that I'm learning, that's not suited for the current environment. And sometimes people want to fit that round peg in a square hole, but it's a timing conversation and you need to know and be clear as to where your timing is. So my advice is know that I am in this phase. I can maximize development of these things right now. And then you then potentially save yourself the frustration of what you refer to, not getting seeming like a fish climbing a mountain. You just got no legs, mate. You ain't got no legs.
Okay, we get it. You're funny. We get it. Okay, so when you're talking about now, you know that you are a fish and you want to be in the ocean and you want to be the biggest shark in the ocean, right? You have an idea of like, okay, I don't really know fish. I'm a tilapia, but I don't think they go there. I think the freshwater fish.
Goldfish? I'm a Nemo. I'm a Finding Nemo fish.
I don't think Nemo is an actual fish. I think that's the name of that character. I don't
Yeah,
think
that's
that's
what
a
I said.
species. Okay,
Yeah.
just okay. Well, I was trying to get it.
You're a Nemo fish. Like a Nemo fish. You call him a Nemo
I got
fish for
it.
now.
I'm a tuna, and I want to
Okay.
become a shark because
All right.
tuna's in the ocean.
Okay.
Alrighty.
But
So in this case of like tuna, you want to become a shark. So you know where you are. You know what your situation is. And I'm assuming at this point, you're now going to create a roadmap, right? To go, okay, I'm going to take a left here, going to take a right at the, amarula tree, going to take another left at the baobab, whatever the case may be. What are the things that you should probably look at besides maybe skills, right? Because obviously in the beginning, you just said, okay, I want to become the shark. The shark has 5,000 teeth, gills and all that jazz. So I know what the shark has. So I'm going to do an assessment on my skills. I'm like, okay, I only have 2 teeth. How do I grow more teeth, et cetera, et cetera? What else can we actually do to build that roadmap that's going to help you get that promotion realistically?
and I want you to maybe challenge me on this one.
Okay.
Sometimes we get hell bent on chasing a promotion, if I can call it like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That we lose sight of what we're trying to build. And so what I would like to rephrase that polite question is, what skills how would I then build the skills that would give me the best chance for promotion when that opportunity arises? And maybe it's not maybe it's the same question. Maybe it's the same thing, right? But the reason why I was saying it like that is you, promotion is a thing of opportunity and you take it when it comes. But if I then focus on the skills that I want to build to be ready, then I also think about the network and the people around me. How do I either, number one, make them look good? How do I then become more collaborative with them? And because a lot of these things, it shouldn't be a one man show and you flourishing. I think that a lot of the time we flourish because we enable others to flourish too. And by building a network, understanding the synergies, you're able to maximize the benefit. So I would say the network becomes now, if you
Add
know,
something to that
go for it, of
comment,
course.
the network. So yes, I think it's really important to look at me challenging you. Yes, I think it's really
I did
important.
ask.
Oh, you did ask. I think it's really important. I agree with you, like don't kind of fixate on the promotion, but there are some other practical things that you need to understand about getting a promotion. It is political. It is not that you are the best person in the room. And I do not care what organization you are in. There is a bit of political finesse in promoting because think about the art of war. I am going to be going to war every day to try and make sure that I meet the goals of my business. So I need to make sure that general on the right, general on the left, I know them, they're my boys, they're my girls, whatever the case may be, we're aligned, we get on the same thing, whatnot. So it's extremely important to find a sponsor who is operating at that level that when you're not there, they'll be like, yo, you know that guy, Dzikamai, he's really cool, he's good, like
Yeah.
whatnot. Speaking about you in rooms that you are not in. This to me is probably the single most important thing that I have seen throughout my career. The people who go fast and far have very strategic sponsors. Sponsors, in my opinion, are more important than your mentors, your coaches, your collaboration, whatnot. Because if you have the right sponsor, I've seen people, no, I'm just trying to be real. I don't want to give you guys BS answers. I've seen people who do not deserve a promotion get a promotion. And you'll be left when you hear like, cause the thing is, it's good. You must collaborate. You must be someone who makes sure that your boss shines so that you can shine so they can speak about good of you in the room. But I don't want to say that that alone is going to be enough. You're going to see people who don't deserve promotions and get promotions. And the reason probably is they're well connected with the right sponsors or their daddy owns the company. Like that's just kind of like the reality
But
of it.
that's just not fair.
No, if my dad owns a company, me, I must be CEO. What are you saying? And if you don't think I should be CEO, then go to your own father's company.
And that's why I'm an employee.
Then also, I think I want you to touch upon what you've personally seen, because like obviously the sponsor thing is obviously, I think, quite important. Then what have you seen around people like going, oh, I'm just going to work hard. Like I've been literally like blazed off. Like what are other people doing who are getting promotions that are actually like winning because they're doing something different besides the sponsor, besides, getting the right skills?
My own experience was that sort of early on, I was a strong proponent of if I work really hard, I will get what is owed to them. And you can work and you work hard. But then you leave a massive gap. You leave gaps in just because you're working, then doesn't mean the right people see you and see what you're doing. Because it is almost irrelevant that you are working and getting the results if nobody sees the results and nobody can appreciate. You're setting yourself a failure because what you're doing is that you're not equipping that person with the information that they need to make the judgment. You're expecting them to go find the answer, which is impossible. It's like, read my mind. Read my mind. Come on. So I think one major thing is to ensure that the people who are important don't have to read your mind. They are getting the information that they require in order to be able to make a judgment. Mm-hmm. And so that piece becomes about communication and visibility. Communication is, especially for technical people, do not know how to sell soap. I know you're selling soap, but they don't know how to sell soap.
Yeah, they PhD, Procter and Gamble.
They have no idea how to sell soap in a supermarket. Like, it is like, you can do fantastic work, but if you cannot communicate what you've done, why you've done it, you lose the
Yeah.
plot.
Yeah.
And then then the piece becomes about being visible, either shying away from the opportunity to speak, shying away from the platforms or the projects that can showcase your ability, shying away from sharing ideas and things that you've done, or even just doing them at times. And this is another one which just reminded me. So that's the communication piece. But then there's the fear piece of, you see a problem, you know how to fix the problem, but then you don't know how to showcase that you know how to fix it, or you don't know how to take the next step. And what I've found a lot of people who do well is being able to break down a problem, which is massive, and then going, look, for next to nothing, I've done this. And for the next, if I was only empowered a little bit more, I could give you a bit more. And sometimes the communication piece is not enough. Seeing and feeling and the example is a better conversation to have, because you're communicating your ability by showcasing a prototype. And any leader wants, more than anything, somebody who's able to solve a problem and not actually be instructed to go solve a problem, if you get what I mean, right? It's like, I'm here with a solution. Exactly, right? And yes, some leaders are maybe different in the way that they approach it, but I think the end goal becomes the end goal. If when their back is against the wall and you're there with the solution, they won't really care the fact that they gave you the permission or not. They'll just be freaking glad that you came back. And that leads me to the last point, which is, if you focus too much on the politics, you lose the ability to deliver the results. And sometimes it works for others, but I think that runway can be a bit short. You might only get so far just by moving chess pieces and playing 3D chess. At some point, it has to be about actually getting results. And if you're able to package the results and showcase the problem, you're more likely to be able to galvanize people, because you can shape a problem in multiple different contexts that then mean that you can get larger collaboration behind one single problem and therefore buy in better, if that makes sense.
You've been grinding for years, showing up early, staying late, doing all the right things, but somehow it's always someone else getting that shiny promotion. And let's be honest, it's starting to sting. Here's the hard truth: working hard isn't enough. You need strategy, you need leverage, you need to play the damn game better than anyone else. This course, Path to Promotion, is your blueprint. Stop being overlooked and start being undeniable. Let's get you that seat at the table for only $12.99 at t4leader.com.
If you thought this course was useful, please leave a positive review and share this with your community as you join us in our journey in impacting 1 million lives by 2026.
Yeah, no, 1000%. I think that the people that do well understand how to play the 20% politics and the 80% deliver the results. You know, you have like, I've done this, I've done this, I've done this, but who I'm saying I've done this to, I'm not just saying it to everybody. I'm saying it to very strategic, specific people. And I do think there's also like an art form around demonstrating your worth and not sounding boastful, because I think we've had this, we talk a lot. So I don't know if it was on the podcast or if it was just a general conversation about how.
I don't even talk that much. I just listen.
Okay. Number 2. Well done. You're doing
I'm
well.
feeling good today.
But like, I think it was about doing digital transformation implementation. And so it wasn't you. It was project management guys in Ghana. And I was explaining that the fact of the matter is, when you want to try and implement large changes in an organization, the people who do it better are people who are liked. So there is and I know people don't like to talk about this, especially I think in African culture. It's like, it almost sounds like you're now being inauthentic or something. And there's some people who are naturally likable. You're someone who's very naturally likable. You just are a charismatic person. And I know many people in my family who are like that. That's just who they are. People just love them. And for people who maybe struggle with that and they can see that they're being blocked or they're, very strong brass personality of getting things done and being a great person and they're not getting the promotions and actually people blocking them, I think you really need to consider how you're presenting that information, because what is your objective? And it could be that, okay, this is not the right context for you. You're a lion and you're around sheep, you ain't going to work. Go to a pride and work. But if it's a place where you go, I'm around other lions and this should actually be okay, then it might be how you communicate in a way that doesn't sound boastful. And it's a fine art. I don't even know how to do that. I don't know if you have any suggestions on there, but it's something that I think really you need a balance. Oh, I'm really good at what I do. And here's the work that's showing that I'm good at what I do, because people do need to know what you're doing.
Yeah. I think it's about timing in that instance and tone. You have to understand and read the room, I guess. You have to understand when is a good time to try to have some of these conversations. When is the right time to strike whilst the hand's hot, right? You don't want to, everyone's talking about, item one, the implementation of Salesforce. And then, but look at me. I'm also here, like me too kind of thing, right? Not now, Trevor, not now. I mean, and I think that becomes...
Oh, so is that why Trevor didn't get that promotion? Look at how big his eyes went. Trevor, I just wanted to start some gossip.
This is how Trevor finds out. but I think there's a timing component to it. And then there's a tone. And so the tone for me becomes about those people. I think it becomes a bit much when, even if whether you're the only person who did it, so what, you're an island, you can work alone and everything is, I think those are the things whereby, have you spoken to person X? Have you spoken to person Y? And a lot of people are afraid of being able to share the credit. Mm-hmm. And that's where we then always feel like I should be the one. I did it by myself. I told you that. No. The more one is able to show a collaborative view, share the success, I think there's a maturity in that. There's a level of confidence that exudes, then that also then minimizes how boastful it might come across. I think I was having a discussion with somebody earlier, just yesterday or the day before, and sometimes you find cultures whereby it is important for you to look like you know it all or that you've solved everything by yourself. That impression, though, it might make you feel better. Somebody on the outside will look at it and go, this person's either got like issues from like way back when they were young, or, trauma on the forehead, or alternatively that they come across as very boastful. And some characteristics like that either stick with you, as in you get labeled like that, and or give you that feeling that you're not necessarily likable or not to be trusted and stuff like that. So I had a question to you. So my question to you is actually a question so there's a shameless WhatsApp group for people that would like to interact with the host and that type of stuff. And yes, that is a plan. So, link in bio. But in this WhatsApp group, somebody asked a question, and the question was about, they are new in a space, new in an environment, new in a company. They are already cliques or syndicates, right? People who have already gravitated and sit in certain spaces. How do they either join a group? How do they not join a group and still be part of the movement? And at the same time, the last one, which is important to me, is not losing yourself in and amongst this political landmine. Because at the end of the day, you're trying to navigate your career. You're trying to navigate a journey that you're on. And it's very easy to be derailed by clan mentality, group mentality. What's your take on that? And maybe, if you've got a Harvard, article that you might be able to quote
Wow. Are you really this
Oh,
guy?
yeah,
Okay.
not like us. Not like us.
Alrighty, so I'll give you a stat then. According to LinkedIn study, they found that 75% of employees focus on mastering their current role, but only 25% actively develop leadership skills. And let me tell you why I'm telling you this stat. The advice to that specific person is you are navigating your career, you're not navigating your job. And what I mean by that is your career transcends what role you're currently in, what organization you're currently in, because it's a career. It's the rest of your life. So that means you're not going to fall into the trap of who's the cool kid in this new organization and who isn't. I think it's important to understand those social dynamics. If you have high EQ, it's important to know who are the sharks and who are the, pandas, and how do you leverage that to get whatever you need to achieve. But the first thing that I recommend anyone do when they get into a space is understand the lay of the land and deliver exceptional work, not good work, exceptional work. And the reason that I'm talking about exceptional work is because everybody can be mediocre. And you don't actually realize that a lot of people are happy to be mediocre. And if you just apply, 2, 3, 4, 5% extra fat when you're putting that navigation to go through there, then you'll find that you are actually going to get more visibility, because 60% of promotions come from things like that, right? They come from having more visibility. They come from these high impact projects. And depending on how you're interacting with these groups of people, you might want to create your own tribe. You might be the person that is this is me. This is who I am. This is what I'm doing. I'm aligned because my career goal is here. And I actually feel like people can even sense when a true leader walks into a room, because they don't talk about their title. They're not stressing about call me boss. They're delivering good work. They are impacting people, and they're actually having an impact on the bottom line. They're saving costs. They're increasing efficiency and effectiveness. And I really loved your comment about you want problem solvers. When someone in a CV, when you see a job posting and they say self-starter problem solver,
Yes, it works well without supervision.
what happens? And can braid
Yes.
my hair. That's what they actually mean. That's what I personally look for. I want people around me who are going to challenge me, who are going to push me and go forward. So true leaders in an organization, they will recognize that this person is not playing politics. They're playing to actually get to their career. And they even have that confidence that goes, I don't even need this job. Because let me explain to you, because I have the skills, I have the credibility, and I'm actually getting 1,000 messages on my LinkedIn, people trying to headhunt me to go to another job. So when I'm here, I'm choosing to be here because I'm creating value. And I think
So,
that that's something. Mhm.
but the thing is that, I mean, not a lot of people have 1,000 people hitting them up in the DMs trying to hire them. So the reality
So the
for a lot of
question is,
people,
what are you doing that's not allowing you to have that? Because are we trying to cultivate the next generation of mediocrity? Or are we trying to cultivate the next generation of movers and shakers, of leaders who are going to take us to the next level? You need to change your mindset. You can't just go, because I don't have what I'm saying. That's not good enough.
yeah,
If you want to truly, well, and I'm not saying you, I mean, this
well, I'm
hypothetical.
feeling, I'm feeling, because you use the word you. What you like? Hey, like, tell you what I'm doing. I'm telling you what I'm doing in my CV. I put it in the streets. I'm doing some.
You all know you have a lot of LinkedIn
No,
messages,
no, 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 no.
like a guy, so it's okay. We know you're booked and busy. Thank you for being on the podcast.
Why do you think? Why do you think I do a podcast? So that just to save myself from the embarrassment of being fired one day.
Yeah, but essentially, in long short, that's pretty much what I
Sure,
would
sure.
recommend. And then if we're thinking about that GPS, because let's kind of conclude that framework on that GPS, the last portion is around, driving now, right? You're going to execute that plan, that roadmap that you had. You know where you started, you know where you're going, you've made
Yeah.
your roadmap. And you're going to have to make adjustments as you go, right? Because you need to understand, what's my promotion window? Is it going to be annual review? Did someone just surprisingly get fired and now there's an opportunity to be like, I'm ready? And you mentioned earlier on about how it's important around timing and always being ready, right? Being ready for that promotion. Because the fact of the matter is, if you're not navigating or moving like this way, I told you, that confidence, and the confidence shouldn't be backed with air, like you're sitting on a toilet. Confidence should be backed with a foundation, bricks, the roof, windows closed, door, wood, lock, and then you go in there, there's things in there that are demonstrating your value. And more importantly, you need to own your narrative. You need to position yourself for that role before it even opens to go, I know I want that one. So I'm going to now start acting like I'm that role. People talk about get dressed, dress for the role that you want to be. I say act for the role you want to be in. Don't wait for the promotion to now take on those responsibilities, because trust me, the person who is doing those responsibilities, they're ready. So when now there's a review, I'll be like, okay, this person's showing up. They're over delivering. They're showing commitment. They're showing maturity. They're showing collaboration. They're going to get that. But then what I want to know from you, DK, is if things go wrong.
What do you mean?
I think I've just described like a perfect utopia where you are that guy or you are that girl.
Yeah.
And you make that roadmap and you're going to get that promotion in 2.5 years. But then what about the reality of, I'm not getting 1,000 messages on my LinkedIn. I'm just trying now to be better than I was yesterday. And there's some hiccups that happen, personal things that go on. How do you then navigate that roadmap to still kind of, get to that goal?
So I think, and I was actually going to share, I think that it's very common to have instances where your plan does not actually materialize. And I think in my own experience, I had changed the role. I had a certain expectation as to how this role was going to move. Mm-hmm. And I was going to be in charge of that destiny of me being in that role. And within 3 months of being in that role, it was communicated to me that I was going to get somebody reporting that I would be reporting to, which was completely not what I was expecting.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the kicker. It was a kick in the teeth and the chest at the same time. And I think it's important to appreciate that. And so if you need to cry, if you need to feel sorry for yourself, feel sorry for yourself. But it's only for a period of time. It cannot be at this indefinite space of sob story. And then it becomes about re-evaluating how you move from where you are. How did you get to where you are? Because everyone's got a plan, like Mike Tyson said, until you get punched in the face. And the key becomes about you get punched. And then you go, okay, now how the hell did that person punch me? And how the hell am I going to now readjust and come into the situation? And so for me, what I found was that, and this is the mental battle that you first struggle with. Prepare yourself mentally. Know that what you thought is not what's happening, but you have to have a grit and a determination to say, I want so much more than what this experience or this moment has shown. And I'm actually worthy of it. And so Beyonce is the only Beyonce because she's doing Beyonce things, right? And so it's then standing up and then putting in the time and the work. So if you, within the same organization, if you find, okay, this didn't work, let me pivot, let me look for a better spot, let me try to put myself out there, let me build the skills that maybe got me to be punched, and let me see how I'm going to reevaluate and give it a full go again, because nothing ever works the way you've planned. Everything requires grit and a tough mental aptitude, and you cannot run away from the first downfall or the second or even the third. It's about always waking up and standing up. And so I'll go, that's the first thing. The second thing becomes about sometimes you need to move. You need to change. Sometimes the environment is the thing that makes it incredibly difficult for you to be able to realize your full potential. And this could be a multitude of different reasons. I'm a Manchester United fan, and the wonder kid, which is Marcus Rashford's known world over, and eventually he's going to shine and be wonderful, had to move, and he's moved. Jadon Sancho, same thing, moved. And I'm just saying about football, but the point is that
And
I really
just
don't,
want to
I really don't like being a Manchester United fan. That's the point. Don't like me and just leave it to that. No. But the point is that I think we at times are afraid of making a change, and change is scary. Sometimes change might also not necessarily be practical. And so if it's not practical and you can't move from that environment, and you've got a space, but I do believe any situation definitely and always allows for you to continue growing something. The key is to ensure that you don't stand still in your development. And so even though it's difficult, even though it's painful, and even though you've been punched, the last thing that you want to do after you've been punched is stand there and just keep your face just waiting for the second punch, right? You want to keep moving. You want to keep any form of momentum so that you don't stop and then get stuck. And for those people who are still stop and are stuck, the question now becomes about how do they get a turn in the wheel? Just one, and then two, and then three. Because what anybody and everybody's trying to do is ensure that you are turning your wheels in the direction of a GPS setting. Sometimes, it might not be going to the right setting, but turn that wheel, keep it moving. And life is not fair. Life is not kind. And life will not be easy. It's not easy for anybody. And if you want success, success comes by embracing the challenges associated to the success. So it should be an honor, more than anything, that you're going through bullshit, BS. And it should be something that you actually you have to carry with a mindset of, this is what I've signed up for. This is what I'm going to do. Up again. And I know it sounds easy. And I know it's easier for some than others. Support, sponsors, mentors, community. These are the building blocks that can help you also ensure that your wheel is turning. Number one is sits with you in your mind.
Okay.
And what I would like to do is I'd like to maybe have some final takeaways and maybe challenge for some of the leaders, right? And a quick recap. And I'm going to summarize some of the things in 4 different things. Let's go with 5. Somebody says I shouldn't count, but I'm going to go with 5. Promotion equals clarity, strategy, visibility, bold action. And the last one is a mindset, a strong mindset. And what we've talked about now touches across multiple different types of people, multiple different situations, but it's a GPS that you're trying to build, a path that you're trying to grow to navigate your career. And the career is not a job title. It's a greater, ambitious goal towards a longer end goal or means. And I really took a lot from what you were sharing, Nono, with your experiences and your statistics. And I've got a question for you. If you were to give the listeners either a call for action or a challenge, right? What would it be?
Well, the first thing I would say is the quote for this episode. They don't call me Nono Bokete for nothing. All right.
Indeed.
So the quote for this episode is, opportunities don't happen, you create them. And this was said by Chris Rosser. And I think that really resonates with what we were talking about today, around promotions and getting those promotions. And a challenge I would like you guys to do is write down your next career goal and the one action you're going to take this week to get you closer to that goal.
And only one.
Just one action. And I think that if this episode hit home, please share it with your friends who are stuck in their career, because we need more people who are not mediocre. We need to elevate. We need to actually promote one another and not be knowledge hoggers. So that's pretty much what I would share.
And I love that, because sometimes we feel like we're in a battle alone. And a lot of the time, we're actually all fighting the same silent struggle. So, to everybody, anybody who found some level of resonation in what we discussed, hit that like, hit the subscribe button, and most importantly, share. Because you're not alone. And I shared my experiences. There are a lot more that I didn't. But the important part is all centered around community. So, without any further ado, Nono, it was fantastic having you. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm your host, Dzikamai Gangaidzo. Signing out. Nono, a word or two from the producer.
If you are wanting to be part of our mission to impact 1 million lives by 2026, go to www.t4leader.com and hit that button in the box below. Thank you.
This podcast is brought to you by Transformation Leader. You can follow us at www.t4leader.com.